Dr. Gorka, you wrote this article, The Real Reason They All Hate Trump. We got to go over this because obviously very important. And we were talking about this on Monday. We were talking specifically about women. And I want to ask you about that because Biden won, quotes, I don't know if you can see the quotes, won women by 11 points. And now in the New York Times poll, they're tied. So I want to get to that. But let's just table women. And now first, let's talk about they. Why do they hate Trump? But I want to play this for you first. This is Trump. He was 34 years old.
Yeah.
Accomplished a great deal, even though you are only 34. I know there's a lot of things that you possibly can do in the years ahead. Why wouldn't you dedicate yourself to public service?
Because I think it's a very mean life. I would love and I would dedicate my life to this country, but I see it as being a mean life, and I also see it as somebody with strong views and somebody with the kind of views that are maybe a little bit unpopular, which may be right, but may be unpopular, wouldn't necessarily have a chance of getting elected against somebody with no great brain but a big smile. And that's a sad commentary for the political process.
Television, in a strange way, has ruined that process, hasn't it?
It's hurt the process very much. I mean, the Abraham Lincolns of the world. Abraham Lincoln would probably not be electable today because of television. He was not a handsome man, and he did not smile.
No brains with a big smile. But I thought of that because it's a mean game, he said.
Yeah, when I saw that video yesterday, I thought, oh my gosh. It's like, it just re-emphasizes how remarkable it is that he ran the first time, and even more remarkable how he's running again. He knew how filthy, dirty politics is, what happens to you and your family when you decide to step in the arena, especially when you have no connection to any of the lobby groups, the special interests. And look what they did to him. You know, for 4 years, they targeted him, his family, called him a racist and misogynist and Islamophobe and anti-Semite, the guy whose daughter is Jewish and who moved the embassy to Jerusalem. I mean, these people have no soul. Then he's prepared to do it again. And now, because he's, winning, he's facing 730 years in prison. So, just God bless him. He is indefatigable, and that's one of the reasons that they hate him, because he loves America.
Oh, go further into that. What do you mean?
People need to read the article because it's a kind of personal piece. It's on my Substack, SebastianGorka.substack.com, and it's been bugging me for 7 years now that I have a reputation, as a tough guy, brash and outspoken, but there's a point at which even I say, what is the source of this vituperation and this utter hatred? I mean, they really hate this man, and I'm trying to understand it and grapple with it. And I start with my experience in the White House. They came after me when the president said, you need to explain the travel ban and why this is good for Americans, and it's based upon an Obama-era threat assessment. We have to stop the travel from these 7 countries that don't know whether they're sending us terrorists or not. And as soon as I took a public, position as deputy to the president, okay, then they unleashed everything. And I got it. I'm a proxy for the president. I get it. You're going to attack me. But then they came after my wife, and then they came after my son. One scumbag journalist who wrote dozens of hit pieces on me wrote one article with about my son, who was 18 at the time, so he's high school age, used his name and in a headline called him a traitor, right? So I'm trying to get my head around who thinks it's okay if you politically disagree with another person to attack their children. And I've been struggling with this, for 7 years now, and it came to me in this discussion I had with the great Pastor Jack Hibbs on Monday. He's the megachurch pastor in California who stood up to Gavin Newsom and said, no, you're not shutting my church down because of COVID. This is when we need faith. This is when we need community. So we had a great hour-long talk on my show. It's the Manhood Hour every Monday. And I asked him, so what is it about this guy, who you clearly love as well, that makes them hate him so much? And he crystallized it for me. I've been saying for a while now, Mike, that you got to forget the labels, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, that taxonomy is defunct. Just jettison it. America is divided along one question. Do you love America or do you hate it? Do you see it as the greatest nation on God's earth, as a shining city on the hill, or do you see it as a den of cisgender white patriarchy and neo-colonialism, right? It really is the question. And I know what President Trump is. He loves America. There's no question. When he stands up at that podium, he exudes passion for this nation. And Pastor Hibbs said, yeah, that's why they hate him. Because he loves the thing they hate. They hate him by transference. And it was a crystallizing moment for me. There's no reason. Why would he? He's just lost what, $500 million in fines. They banned him from business in New York, the city that he brought probably about $20 billion to at least in business and trade, and he's still running. He could step down. He's still running. Why? It's not to be famous. His last name was a global brand 40 years ago. Why is he running? Because he loves America. That's why they hate him.
We can't forget how much he was loved
by everyone. I mean, look, the guy who gets the cameo in Home Alone, the sequel, the guy who rappers sing about, this man was loved by everybody. But then he comes down an escalator and says he's a conservative. You got to take him out. That's the left's reason for hating him.
Yeah, I'll give an addendum to that. This morning I was reading Proverbs 9. So 8 and 9, a couple of the other ones there, are all about wisdom, and the Bible personifies wisdom in 9 as a woman who has this house and is engaging in hospitality and wants everyone to come into her house and engage and become a wise person. And this is 9:7. Whoever corrects a scoffer, right? So some people will reject wisdom. They'll walk by wisdom's house and reject it. And not just reject wisdom, but scoff at her and it. Whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abuse.
Yeah.
And he who reproves a wicked man incurs injury. Do not reprove a scoffer, or he will hate you.
Right.
Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. So then there's some of that there too, right? So if you have these scoffers, these haters, and you try to engage properly, even you will just be hurtled with abuse.
Yeah,
so
and I mean, look at the issues. I mean, if you go back to those, seminal interviews from the 80s, with Oprah and others, and the one you just played, this guy has been, telling the wise stuff, making the sagacious observations for 50 years. He's been talking about NATO being freeloaders. He's been talking about China literally, wanting to take over our pole position and undermining us in an economic war for decades. This isn't a guy who, just randomly thought 8 years ago he should be president. He was dropping these red pill little, bon mot of wisdom, and then eventually said, okay, well, both political parties haven't taken any of this seriously. They're the scoffers. They don't care about the American people. I'm going to give it a try. And, it really hit me. As I was standing there November before last at Mar-a-Lago on the day of the midterms, listening to him relaunch his campaign. And it just hit me. This guy's doing it. What kind of person is attacked relentlessly 24 hours a day for 4 years? His family is attacked. His businesses lose $1 billion, and then he decides to put himself through that again. What kind of guy does that? Only a guy who loves this country. And if you hate this country, if you're the 1619 crowd, if you're the America is built on slavery and oppression, and if you're white, you're the oppressor, those people look at a man who loves this country without question, and they say, we must destroy him. That's why they hate him.